was actually at Smith Lake last year,
Oh,
and
wait, that's a clean picture right there.
yeah, I was and you know how clean I keep my boat, so
Yeah.
I was joking. I don't keep it clean, but it does look super clean in that picture, though.
I was just trying to be nice.
No, no, no.
It's like mine. Everyone's like, man, what are you gonna do with that carpet? I'm like, dude, we get it. I get it detailed before I ever sell it. So like sometimes I'll put new carpet in there. So I
Yeah.
use my boat and then it looks better usually when I'm done with it.
I was actually having a conversation with a guy that was wanting to buy the boat, and I was just like, "Look, this is a conversation I like to have with everybody before they buy it. My boat is used. This isn't a
Yeah.
new boat. Don't expect a new boat. Like
No.
and that was a question I got a lot was like, hey, like, do you have any nicks or anything on the hull? And I'm like, yeah, like it's used. Like
Yeah.
I've
I mean,
used it
it doesn't have
a
holes
lot.
in it.
It doesn't
Yeah.
have a hole in it. It floats. Like everything works.
Yeah.
It's just that's one of those questions that just kind of perturbed me a little bit. It's like, and I've actually turned down a few people that wanted to buy it, and not just that boat, but other boats in the past because I just knew right off the bat that they wanted a brand new boat for a used boat price, and that's just not how
What
it works.
what was crazy? So when we went up to Texoma, and this is kind of what I'll talk about, like right before we went up there, and like I spent hours cleaning this boat. Um, I mean, it was like clean. And there's a video that I will come out with. I told y'all about it, right? I think. Anyways, I don't know. I think I told you about it. It's epic. It's
Oh
epic for a
no.
lot of different things. Now, a lot of people might like this is a stupid video, whatever. I don't care, man. They it's mind boggling what really went down. Like if you really take what this video is and like look at it, but it kind of not messed up my carpet, but like I got done with Texoma and it looked, I don't know what happened, but it just was dirty again. Texoma are already, that water in there is like has that salt stuff on it.
Yeah, it's
It's why
weird.
those
Yeah, yeah,
striper,
yeah,
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 it's why the stripers do so well over there. It's why they
yeah.
spawn in that lake. And so you always get that white film, those white streaks
Yeah.
through the waves. Like afterwards, you'll get all this white stuff all down your boat. I mean, it's just,
Mhm.
I mean, washes off, but I'm just saying it makes your boat instantly look just dirty again. And
Yeah.
I got to redo my carpet because of one epic fish catch that was good. But that's what I was going to talk about. Like, so there's a lot going on with that Texoma event. No one will ever talk about it, really. But I'm just telling you right now, it was one of the most talked about events during the event that I've ever been a part of. Like,
Yeah, and to
you
to
know a little bit about
clarify,
it?
yeah, yeah, I know a little bit about it. I mean, to clarify what Todd's talking about is, if you look at what was going on, the Texoma Toyota series got canceled the first 2 days because of wind, and rightfully so. I've been on
Yeah.
Texoma on those days, needed to be canceled. Um, but what ended up happening is it actually put the entire event on one single day, which was Saturday, on top of a high school event. And you could say like the high school event was on top of the Toyota. You could go back and forth on that, but basically there was two big events on top of each other. The high school event expected there to only be 10 professional anglers from the Toyota
25
series,
now.
or is it 25? Okay, so
25 this
25.
year. Yeah.
Okay, so you're talking about roughly 300 plus high school anglers out there.
I think there was 360,
So 360, and then on top of y'all's, which was
170. I was about 164, I think, but I think someone was 170, maybe six or something like that.
So we'll say around 180. So you're talking a
Yeah.
lot of boats on a pretty small body of water that fishes even
In
smaller
in
sometimes
the
in
springtime,
the springtime.
and it was
So
blowing 20.
yeah,
So once it blew the opposite direction the next day, it was all right in the morning time, but it got up pretty big at the evening, in the afternoon. So that lake has a lot of unfishable water, or water that you can go fishing,
yeah,
I
yeah.
guess,
You
but
can go
it's no
fish
good.
it. It's just not any good.
It's just not
Yeah,
any good, right?
yeah,
And so you put a lot of people right next to each other, and man, like and then there was a whole nother deal with walking the bank. I'm not even, that's a whole nother
yeah.
video
That
that
is a
I'm
whole
not
nother
even gonna,
video.
that 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 was that was not good. I've actually got They should probably make. There's a couple things. They should probably make a rule. I expect a rule to be out very quickly about that.
Yeah.
I expect. I'm not gonna write them an email or do anything. I am writing them an email, FLW, about this next thing. It's not a bad email. It's dude, I think this is a win-win for everyone. This nothing bad about this email. I'm gonna send it to Kathy Fennell and Mark McWall and all those guys up there and let them think about it. I think they've probably maybe already thought about it, but I went and talked to tons and tons of the fishermen throughout those days. You got to realize we didn't get to go fish for 2 days. So there was a lot of talk going on around. And I'll just tell you what it's about. Really, when you put the high school guys were really mad. They weren't happy that we were there, right? They were very frustrated the fact that they were going to all those guys on Saturday. And probably rightfully so, because I think they had scheduled the event there before that, before ours or something.
Before the Toyota Series. Yeah.
Right. But so there's going to be someone through the high school thing like, listen, we're allowed to talk about this, right? And even though we talk about it, we're not getting mad at any of this. We're discussing something so that people can understand, okay, this is the new norm. This is what I'm going to tell them, that this is the new norm. So let's try to figure out how to we might have to start adjusting things, because the high school thing is I'll be honest, there are a lot of people that are not liking the high school thing. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's not that we don't want young kids to fish. Like, there's certain things, topics in our world that we're not allowed to talk about. Like if you even mention it and you're like, well, I'm not really a fan of that. And it instantly like, oh, you hate kids and they shouldn't be fishing. Oh my gosh. No, just hear us out for a second. The fishing, we don't like a lot of things in fishing, right? The way they do things. And so this is just one of those deals that the high school fishing came along. It was huge. And like, we can attest, we live in the mecca of high school fishing. We have the largest high school tournaments in the country, and it started with us. Like Southeast Texas, like had what is that organization? Is it Southeast Texas High School Association?
Yep, that's it.
They were having 500 and 600 field tournaments.
Yeah, it was
so
ridiculous.
Like, trust us, it started here. What happens though is that there are only very, very few lakes in the country that can handle that.
Very few.
Very few. And so what happens is we don't mind the high school fishing, but there's a reason the opens are cut off at 2:30. There's a reason certain tournaments they have a cutoff.
Yeah.
They don't have a cutoff at that high school deal.
No.
And I'm not saying that they should. I'm just stating, when you don't have a cutoff, there creates more and more problems, more and more boats, more and more problems.
Well, I mean, ultimately, when you have more boats, in the case of the high school fishermen, is for every boat they have to have an adult captain. It can't just be the two high school anglers go out fishing. They have to have basically a chaperone. And so when you get past that 200, 250 mark, I feel like the chaperones kind of go down a little bit, and we're going to talk a little bit about that and a situation that Todd was faced with the other day on Texoma. And the deal is I know people don't want to talk about it, but the fact of the matter is there's a big disconnect right now in captains. It's not necessarily just from a high school angler standpoint, but what are we teaching these kids? And I think that's a big deal. I mean, because I'm a huge proponent to high school fishing, college fishing. I came up through the ranks of college fishing, and it's part of the reason I am where I am today. But what I will say is there is an exaggerated difference between high school fishing and college fishing right now. And I think that on the college side of things, they have it figured out a little bit better as far as organization wise. And granted, they're not dealing with as many anglers, as many schools. And so I understand that. And you want everybody to have the opportunity to participate. And I absolutely agree with that too. But right now, uh, I believe that there's a lot of captains for these boats that shouldn't be captains for these boats.
Right, right. And there's two things to that, really.
Yeah.
And I'll go in this because I have some questions for you. But yeah, there's it got to be too many, right?
Yeah.
And we all made it work. I can make it work. Like, man, I've been doing this for years and years and years. So when I went out there, look, they let the high school guys go first in the sense of they were able to get out there on the water at like 6:30 and start fishing. We didn't take off till 7:30. They were trailer tournament. They were already fishing. I
No
could
big
care
deal.
less about any of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. No
That's
big deal.
that's not
It's
even.
because
I'm
the
just
thing is like, does your tournament supersede theirs? Absolutely. It's not
no,
about that. And I
no, no, no,
want
no,
everybody to understand that he's not sitting there saying that like, well, they're just in a high
no,
school
no,
tournament. It has nothing to do with any
no.
of
I have a yeah. I
that.
have a point to this. So
Yeah.
but I have a point in my mind. My mindset was ready for everyone. Always asked me like I did a little bit of sight fishing and stuff, and people were asking me like, why would you sit on that fish? Like, they were asking me fishing stuff. Why would
Yeah.
you sit on fish that long? How do you know what's that judgment like? Well, dude, it started, 19 hours ago when the high school deal, I'm like, okay, there's going to be 360 teams out there already on the lake fishing. I'm
Yeah.
boat 164. So now I've got 163 guys ahead of me getting to start on fish or do whatever. So in my mind, I'm like, how does my game plan fit into this? Now, I'll be honest. I know how to fit it into 164 guys there are 163
Yeah.
guys in front
No
of me.
doubt.
I have no idea. It's very hard for me to plan on 360 high school kids.
Plus 150 others,
Right.
160
So
others.
I had a game plan
Yeah.
going, okay, what are my best chances of trying to do good in the tournament? So I had this like, I'm not going to try to start on a sight fish, not even close. So I went smallmouth fishing. I went after a big one in the first hour or two. And then I just started making my way. Well, when I went, and that smallmouth stuff didn't have anyone on it. When I went back to, I knew where a fish or two were that I thought were like out of the way. And I was going to go try to catch them. And when I got there, there were boats they weren't fishing for them. They were just kind of in the way. And so I had to like wait till they got out of the way. We all talked about this. Like, so the group I stayed with, and I heard some other guys, they were like, yeah, man, we'd kind of idle around a while till we could figure out a place to get in line. And that's what I did. I saw all these boats. I went and got in line kind of, and I was the last one through this area. I ended up catching a 4-pounder off of a bed because no one found her, or sort of. But anyways, like I knew my mindset was, I know what's going to happen today. There's going to be people all over the places I want to fish. And just because I want to fish them doesn't mean I get to, but
Yeah.
I'm going to be patient and be cool headed, and I'm going to go about my day. And when I got to my other area, which was probably the most popular area on the lake, I literally got there late in the morning, like late in the morning. When I rolled in there, I was looking around going, where is everyone? Well, there was a reason no one was there. They have just like obliterated it, right?
Yeah.
And I figured I could find a sneaky one or two in there, and I did. But I waited. I didn't even want to see all those boats in there. And that's why I went there late. Now, with all that being said, that was my mindset going into that tournament. I know what I'm getting into. Let's prepare for it. The tournament director of the high school deal told all the high school, they wrote it like a message saying, write down any boat that does you wrong and call us. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. So I went into there with a very open-minded, like, I'm going to have interactions with people and it's okay. Like and theirs was almost on the defense of going, if anyone tries to put, and I get I get it. And trust me, this is not a high school versus us thing. Our guys and our events, dude, they're some of the worst. They're some of the
Yes.
worst.
But I think that's in all tournament trails. Like, I
True,
don't care if it's
true.
like high school, college, whatever.
Right. Because I only had one bad
Yeah.
interaction. I must have had 15 interactions with high school kids and their captains that were, I mean, I couldn't say that they couldn't go any better.
Yeah,
They were
yeah,
perfect. However, I also got down at Texoma the week before on a Friday, and Russ was supposed to get down there. He didn't get down there. There was a tournament. I ended up getting in a local tournament down there. There was a high school event, a 2-day high school event going on that weekend as well. That's kind of what I wanted to talk about. Is like, so we had a high school event the week before down there with a whole bunch of boats, and then another one the next weekend. Now, we only go there, a Toyota event, once a year. I know they have other local tournaments, but those high schooler events are huge. They're big events, and they're not going away. And I'm not saying that in negative. This is, I'm trying to explain to everyone, this is the new norm. High school tournaments are not going away, and they are new, right? Like, we have been having normal tournaments, our regular fishing tournaments for the working class, the local guy. Like, we've been having local tournaments for years. This high school thing is new, and there's a bunch of them, and they're growing so fast that no one stepped back to look at going, wait, man, we're usually, when things grow real fast, it's not good, right?
oh yeah, no doubt.
Because they're just trying to get them in without really taking a step back and looking at everything. So that's kind of where I'm like, man, you get these boat captains, you're just throwing kids and people out there, and some of them are okay, but some of them probably, I mean, it's just scary what's going on sometimes, like
You know,
safety,
and that,
all
yeah,
kinds of stuff.
you have a lot of safety issues, but and I'm not disregarding the safety issues because they're humongous, but like another aspect of this is how they treat other people in the water. You want to talk about professional anglers act like they own the water and things like that, and I mean, we might get frustrated if somebody cuts us off, or you know, but we've kind of all learned to accept a few things when it comes to on the water stuff. But the attitude and what these I think these captains need, we talk about high school fishing, but they almost have to be on a different level because they're not only going out there and chaperoning, but they're also teaching these kids. They're showing them the ropes. We expect teachers to have a higher level of education. We expect teachers to be disciplined and not show their butt when they're in classrooms. And to me, someone chaperoning for an 8-hour day on a bass fishing tournament needs the same type of stuff. Now, I'm not saying they have to go ahead and get a degree or anything like that, but there might be like a set of rules that maybe these organizations give to these captains and say, this is how you handle business. Or maybe make them watch some kind of video, or like have some kind of learning experience on how to be a better boat captain, what they should do, what they shouldn't do in certain situations. Because I'm telling you guys, I've witnessed it. Todd had a really rough encounter at Texoma about it, and I can't tell you how many other anglers out there that aren't at our level, that are just fishermen that have dealt with these boat captains in these high school events. That, I mean, quite frankly, guys, like, it is kind of getting to a point where, what are we teaching these kids that are coming up? We want to teach them respect. We want to teach them how to do right, to treat others better than they treat themselves. Do unto others as you would to yourself. You do all these different things, but there's not enough monitoring when it comes to the high school situation as far as boat captains go. And let's be honest, we need to have something like that. And quite honestly, like Todd said, I don't believe that high school fishing is going away anytime soon. It's way too big. It's a huge machine that's going right now. And we just want it to be a really good, you know, first step into angling for these kids and not teach them the wrong thing right off the bat. I was actually talking to Todd about it the other day because he told me about a situation. He was really upset about it. And it reminds me of little league uh, sports, whether it be little league baseball, football, whatever you want to say. And I'm not speaking on any particular situation because I don't want anybody watching that is a little league coach of my son to think that I'm talking about them. But you have a lot of these, and you've probably witnessed it over time. You have coaches that weren't ever. they don't have a degree, they didn't coach in high school or college or anything like that, but they're like the little league coach that knows everything about it because they played Madden and watched football on the weekends. And you have these kind of guys that are coaching our kids. And one of the big, most adamant things that I've done raising a child is I said, I don't want someone teaching my son how to tackle someone improperly at the age of 9 years old, because I don't want him to hurt himself or hurt somebody else because whoever taught him how to do it was doing it incorrectly. And to me, it correlates with this fishing situation, because I don't want someone to come teach my son to get in the boat with my son and say, hey, you know what? It's okay to cut this guy off and call him a bad word, because that's not acceptable. I don't care where you're from. That is not acceptable to me and to the growth of my child. And I would only hope that other parents have the same sentiment when it comes to what their kid gets and the type of care that their kid gets on the water, whether it be from a coach on the fishing team or from their little league coach or their high school baseball coach. I don't care what it is. I want it to be consistent, and I want to teach them the right way to do things. And and that's
And
just kind
and
of where I'm at.
and you're right, but and there'll be people that go, well, what about these grown-ups? Dude, watch my YouTube.
Yeah.
I post all those grown-ups and these grown fishermen that do stupid stuff. Dude, I call them out too, right? So the problem is it's very hard for me to go teach a 40 or 50 or 60-year-old man how to act. Like, I'm not saying he's a lost cause, but that's why I have zero problem calling him out on YouTube. He's a lost cause. Like that guy, dude,
Yeah.
we don't like those guys. We like those guys even worse. The
Well, and
deal,
and
like,
and, and the one other thing, like it's not even, and I said it earlier, but I want to say it one more time. This isn't just a high school observer situation. There's guys in the Bassmaster Opens. There's guys on the Elite Series, the Bass Pro Tour. There's guys at Fisher Club Tournament on the weekends that are bad eggs.
but we can't do anything about that. And
No,
that's what Andrew and me are talking about, is that these are high school kids. So instead of complaining about these guys that are 40, 50, 60 years old, let's try to get these kids that are young before they start acting like them, right?
exactly.
That's an opportunity we have. That's what we're talking about. The high school deal presents an opportunity for us to help carve the way for them.
Yeah.
And my encounter the other day didn't bother me so much about what the captain did at first, right? Those kids knew.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
and I didn't know if I was going to make the video. I've got it, and I'm probably going to put it out. So, but the kids were embarrassed. I'm telling, like, you could see it in their, like, everything. But then after what the dad did, or the cat, whatever he
Observer
was,
dad. Yeah.
what happened? And I'm going, oh my gosh. I was kind of in shock, going, so not only this is what you think, this is how you handle things on the water. And you just showed two impressionable kids, this is okay to handle it this way. And I was going, I mean, it floored me. And I'm sitting here going, if you, dude, this is my job. This is how I handle things on and off the water, regardless, because I represent something.
Oh yeah.
Dude, if you did that at a job, you'd get fired. What he
100%.
did.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, these kids, maybe they never fish high school after this. Maybe they want to go in the fishing industry. And you just taught them one of the worst ways to handle something.
Yeah. No
And
doubt.
that's where like I said, we're not sitting there saying it's wrong. We just have the opportunity. Me and Andrew we're trying a little bit on YouTube, and that's why we show things, because we try to give you all some insight as to what we think is right or wrong. You don't always have to agree with this, mate. There's so many times where we'll post a video and some guy goes, well, you were 30 yards, not 40 yards from someone. And we're like, man, you're
It's the
missing the
point. Yeah,
point.
it's like
It's doing something intentional because you want to, right? And in the video, I show my intention. Man, I show a ton in this video. It's a kind of a long video. I wanted to show y'all my thought process as to how not to do everything. Even in the video, I made this comment. There's a couple comments on YouTube or people that say about other people on the water that frustrate me. And one of them is the comment, "You think you own the water." I have yet to hear a person fishing that says, "Man, I own this water." Well, there might be like one or two, but for the most
Yeah,
part,
you have some guys that act like
no
that, but
one's
it's
saying
very
that.
rare. Yeah.
The only people that are saying we own the water is those crazy freaking Karens up north, that live in a pocket with some sailboats yelling at guys and they're
Oh
fishing,
my
right?
God, I know.
They're the
So
only ones
funny.
like literally say, "We own this right here. You're not allowed to be in here." And they're totally wrong. What I tell people is we don't own the water. No one's saying that. We do have to coexist, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So we're trying to figure out what is acceptable. Trust me, when we have these conversations between me and Andrew and Hallman, and it's not just us, we could probably put down 50 guys of our close buddies. And
Mhm.
when we talk about something, it's pretty much 100% consensus that this guy did wrong,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
And we'll still have people go, "Y'all were in the wrong." Maybe we are, but guys that we respect that have been doing this a long time, 100% of us would look around going, "Yeah, that dude did wrong."
Yeah.
So it's not just a couple of us, it's a lot of us that look
Well,
at it a
yeah, and
certain way.
it's not even just that he did wrong, because like to Todd's point, like I, I could count. I can't even. I don't even have enough fingers and toes to count how many times I get cut off in a series of, let's just say, 5 events. I mean, and sometimes it's at 100 yards, and maybe that's acceptable to some people. And sometimes it's at 20 yards, and sometimes it's at 10 yards in front of me. I mean, and there's certain times that just happens. But what kind of example are we setting for our kids that are fishing, these high school anglers, if we think that that is an acceptable practice? And maybe this is a call to the Toyota guys, the Bass Open guys, the elite guys, whoever is watching this. If you know somebody that does that, tell them they need to straighten it up a bit, because quite honestly, the more we teach these kids that it's acceptable at their particular high school events, the more it's going to translate into we're going to have bad anglers as it comes in the future.
And listen, I'm not going to call them out. I mean, y'all know who it is. There's pros out there, like pros
Yeah,
on the
100%.
elites and stuff that probably thought that was good TV or whatever. And but dude, I don't care what anyone says. It might have been great TV. It was horrible for our sport.
Yeah.
It was like when they did it, they showed us in a bad light.
Yeah,
So
it
I
was
will
that real
never,
ugly side of
yeah, I will
fishing.
never
And
sit
yeah,
there and they were like, "Oh, we're fishing for a bunch of money and we got."
yeah, that's stupid.
That's like, man, you want to know, like, so there's a couple things that I've hated sayings. This is the other one.
You do have the you're so funny.
This one, I can't believe how in the world this one got to be acceptable is beyond me. Man, like if you're not cheating, you ain't trying.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, that means you're cheating.
It's just very black and white.
But
You're
I'm like,
cheating.
they're like, no, I mean, if you're not bending every rule and going, and I'm like, no, that's called cheating.
Yeah.
That's not, you're trying harder than the next. We could have all done that. We just knew that was called cheating.
Yeah.
But I always looked at that. I'm like, how did that get in
Well,
to
heck, this
sport?
this day and age, we can say whatever we want to and just God twist the bad into a good
Yeah,
somehow. I
I
mean,
just
just goodness
laughed at that.
gracious.
I just laughed at that one. But I mean, what's crazy, and because so I will throw this in there, and then we can get off this one because I want to ask you about your opens. I got a question for you about that. But so I'm writing an email because you don't know about this. Maybe you do. Uh, I said, hey, look, we're all there for the Toyotas. We all get there. So everyone hear me out and tell me if I'm wrong about this. Anyone that fishes some of these bigger events, we're all there all week long for the most part. We all fish the Toyotas knowing the fact that they start on Thursday. Chances are we're all out there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. If you want to get there the weekend before, you can get there the weekend before. And I was like, hey, look, high school stuff's not going away, not to mention the local tournaments. So
Oh
let
yeah.
me throw the local tournaments in there too. Local tournaments look now at us as they don't care either. They're just trying to get their local tournaments in. So they're
Yeah.
sitting there going, oh, the top guys, the final day, It's just going to be a couple of them. We can schedule 200 boats on top of them. Who cares? Like, I don't really want to be out there. Like when you make a top the final day, that's your day to kind of go out there and you're glad everyone else is off the water. And now you got to go compete with a whole bunch of locals and that are already going to probably be on the water before you. So I was like, guys, why don't we just make everyone happy? Let's just start the tournament on Wednesday, have a Wednesday, Thursday, final day, Friday.